Let's start with a simple, uncomfortable question. Do you actually know what's on your plate? I'm not talking about whether you can identify pasta from potatoes. I mean the meat, the fish, the oil. The stuff we trust is real. Because as it turns out, trust is a luxury we've been paying for while eating something else entirely. We like to believe food fraud is some rare scandal, the kind of thing that pops up once a decade and makes for good tabloid fodder. A few bad actors, a rogue butcher, maybe some shady traders moving meat across borders. But once you scratch beneath the glossy supermarket packaging, the picture gets darker, much darker. This isn't about a few dodgy lasagnas. It's about a global, systemic industry of fraud, mafias, and middlemen who have figured out that food is just as profitable as drugs, but far less risky. Back in 2013, Ireland stumbled onto one of the biggest scandals in modern food history. DNA testing on cheap supermarket burgers revealed something no one expected: horse meat, neatly tucked inside beef patties. Not a trace, not a whoops. One cow met a horse in the abattoir kind of mistake. We're talking full-on substitution. The revelation snowballed. Lasagnas, ravioli, minced meat products across Europe turned out to be laced with horse. Major brands were caught up in it. And the kicker? This wasn't a tiny operation. It was industrial. Multi-million euro supply chains. Warehouses in Belgium and France. Frozen horse meat trucked in from Romania, relabeled as beef, and pushed into ready meals. The mastermind was a Dutch trader called Jan Fassen. The man practically made a career out of creative label swapping. Arrested in 2008, back at it in 2013, pulling in tens of millions of euros. It was the kind of scheme you'd expect in a crime novel, except the punchline was sitting in freezers in your local supermarket. And here's the thing, that was just the scandal we noticed. The one authorities actually blew open. For every horse lasagna exposed, how many others quietly made it through the system without anyone saying a word? The uncomfortable truth is this: food fraud isn't an exception. It's baked into the business model. Because margins in the food industry are razor thin, competition is brutal, and the supply chain stretches so far it makes your head spin. Somewhere in that spaghetti bowl of farmers, wholesalers, traders, importers, and retailers, someone realizes you can swap a label, dilute the product, or cut a corner. Olive oil? A classic. Italy's liquid gold has been faked so often it might as well have its own crime genre. Investigators have uncovered everything from rapeseed oil, dressed up with chlorophyll, to literal industrial lubricants, bottled and sold as extra virgin. Restaurants in Europe, including some visited by heads of state, were found serving counterfeit oil. Tuna? Injected with nitrates to restore its rosy glow when the flesh has already turned brown. In 2017 alone, over 450 people were poisoned by doctored tuna in Europe. The profits? Millions a year. Even food destined for charities isn't safe. In 2019, France discovered that Polish suppliers had delivered substandard meat byproducts, masquerading as beefsteaks meant for soup kitchens. Yes, the food handed to the poor was literally the stuff unfit for sale elsewhere. When the Mafia or organized crime groups look at this market, the logic is obvious. Drugs and weapons attract heat. Food? Everyone eats it, no one checks too closely. And the penalties, when they even exist, are laughably small. What makes food fraud so easy is also what makes it so terrifying: trust. We don't have the time or tools to verify every bottle of oil or tray of mince. We rely on the label. We rely on the supermarket. We rely on EU regulators. But that trust is exactly what fraudsters exploit. Swap horse for beef? Consumers won't taste the difference in a ready meal drowned in tomato sauce. Dilute olive oil with something cheaper? The average shopper isn't running chemical analysis in their kitchen. The system is designed to catch bacteria, disease, spoilage. It's not designed to catch intentional deception. Which means unless someone blows the whistle, or people start getting sick, the fraud passes unnoticed. Globalization has supercharged the problem. Food isn't local anymore. Beef raised in Poland ends up in France. Tuna caught in the Pacific goes to Spain for reworking before it lands on your plate in Berlin. Olive oil blended in Tuscany may have started life in Turkey. That complexity is a dream for fraudsters. Every border crossed, every middleman involved is another layer of fog. By the time the product reaches you, the paper trail is a novel, and nobody has time to read it. It's not that Europe lacks rules. On paper, the EU has some of the strictest food regulations in the world. But as the horse meat scandal showed, rules are only as good as the weakest national authority tasked with enforcing them. If Poland's slaughterhouses cut corners or Italian inspectors look the other way, the whole system collapses. Here's why food fraud is booming. The risk-reward ratio is insane. Profit margins are huge. Buy horse meat at €2 per kilo. Sell it as beef at €4 per kilo. Repeat across thousands of tons. Demand is endless. People don't stop eating in recessions. Detection is low. Regulators are understaffed, underfunded, and overwhelmed. Punishments are laughable. In Italy, mafias have been caught counterfeiting olive oil on an industrial scale, only to face fines that barely cut into profits. One Italian anti-mafia prosecutor put it bluntly, "Food is the new cocaine." Now, I know what you're thinking. Great, so everything I eat is fake, and I should just grow my own tomatoes in the backyard. Not quite. There are levers we can pull, but they require rethink. Fair trade and fair pay. At the heart of this mess is money. Farmers underpaid, suppliers squeezed, brands demanding lower and lower prices. Fraud thrives where margins collapse. Fair trade isn't just about coffee beans in Guatemala. It's about ensuring producers everywhere, from Polish abattoirs to Tunisian olive groves, can earn enough to stay honest. Stronger enforcement. Right now, Europol can coordinate, but it can't enforce. The EU's food fraud network depends on national governments. Some do their job, others don't. Until penalties match the scale of the crime and enforcement has teeth, fraudsters will keep laughing their way to the bank. Transparency and technology. Blockchain isn't just for crypto brothers. Imagine every cut of beef or bottle of oil logged on an immutable chain from farm to fork. Some startups are already experimenting. It's not foolproof, but it's better than paperwork that can be swapped with a printer and a stamp. Consumer awareness. Yes, we play a role too. Demand transparency. Support producers you know. Buy less, buy better. And maybe, just maybe, stop believing that extra virgin olive oil, 1 liter, €3.50 is the real deal. If it sounds too cheap, it probably is. Here's the real danger. Food fraud doesn't just poison our bodies. It poisons our faith in the system. Once you know lasagna can be horse, or extra virgin can be motor oil, something changes in the way you look at the supermarket shelf. And trust, once lost, is nearly impossible to rebuild. For regulators, that's the nightmare. If consumers no longer believe the label, the entire system of trade, supermarkets, and global supply chains starts to wobble. It's not just fraudsters who stand to profit. It's populists, conspiracy theorists, and every snake oil salesman with a YouTube channel screaming about toxic food. It's not a coincidence that Italian mafias moved into food. Control the supply, control the markets, control the kitchens of Europe. It's clean, it's profitable, it's under the radar. And the more globalized our diets become, the more opportunities there are. The fight against food fraud is pitched as a battle of inspectors versus criminals. But really, it's a battle for the soul of what we eat. Do we want a food system that serves consumers and producers, or one that lines the pockets of fraudsters and mafias? Next time you pick up a lasagna, a bottle of oil, or a tuna steak, ask yourself, how much of this is trust? Because that's really what you're buying. Not just calories, not just taste, trust. And if trust keeps being sold out to the highest bidder, then we're all just eating whatever the Mafia decides goes on our plates.